Hi, and welcome to Rate That Album, the album review where two guys, myself and Joseph Fremming. How you doing, Joe?
I'm doing fantastic.
Fantastic. Well, we review two. Oh, buddy! It's just at least we don't have to worry about Gilmer this episode.
Goddamn Gilmer!
Goddamn Gilmer! So two guys. We're reviewing albums, and this time we picked a doozy, the 2020 1975 release, Notes on a Conditional Form. Joe, before I get into kind of the history of this album, just give me your general thoughts. Like, let me ask you this: had you heard of this band or this album before?
Not the album. I heard about the band. I saw them. A live performance. I think it was SNL, but it could have been, any of the late night talk shows. I'm pretty sure they, played those or whatever. But I mean, I'd never really listened to them beyond that. And then I had no idea about this album.
Okay. So this album is the fourth studio album. But they're from England, which I think shows. It was released May of 2020, so this is a fairly within the last year or a little over a year. It was initially entitled "Music for Cars" and was intended to be a follow-up to their 2016 release, "I Like It When You Sleep, For You Are So Beautiful Yet So Unaware of It." However, it kind of became this album that they were working on between albums, and then another album came out beforehand, The Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships in 2018. And this just kind of became like just overall work of art, I guess is what you'd call it. It's considered a maximalist experimental album. Would you agree with that statement?
It's experimental, maximalist. I think that'd be pushing it. Like when I think maximalist, I think, experimental maximalist. Like I think of like more insane layered, everything, including the kitchen sink sort of album. This has elements of that, but I wouldn't say it was.
It didn't have the wall of sound that I expect with the maximalist.
It still has a, it doesn't feel like over the top, like what that genre implies. I mean, and everybody can split hairs on genres, but yeah, I mean, when I think of something like that, I think of like, in my mind's eye, like Queen on steroids, maybe, or Zappa.
Yeah. Like Zappa, I consider maximalist experiment.
Yeah, Beefheart, Captain.
Yeah, Beefheart, Captain Beefheart, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think because, everything has kind of become in pop music for a long time, just beats and melody, right? It's the beat and the melody, harmony and things like that aren't there. And because they had the orchestral interludes and some of the electronic ambient sounds that led into some harmonies, I could see where people that don't understand or haven't really been exposed to true maximalist experimental albums would consider this just based upon it. In a pop, I mean, from a pop standpoint, it sure the fuck is.
Yeah,
but from an actual genre standpoint, it's really low on the fucking totem pole.
I would label this experimental pop.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what it is. It's a weird album. I'll give it that.
It is. I mean, there's so many people that were on this album. Phoebe Bridgers, FKA Twigs, Cuddy Ranks, Greta Thunberg is on this album. Actor Tim Healy is on this album.
Well, he's the father.
He's the father, yes.
Of the singer, songwriter.
Yeah, but I mean, it's crazy when you think about it. Just everything that was kind of there, and so getting into a little bit more. When the album came out, there were some singles. They released the 1975 People, Frail State of Mind, Me and You Together song, the birthday song, Jesus Christ 2005, America, God Bless America, If You're Too Shy, and Guys, which we'll get to. Some of those I'm like, yeah, absolutely, they should be released as
Here's the thing:
singles.
some of those songs are like the ones I highlighted as the ones I like. So kudos for actually picking the earworms, guys.
Yeah. I was gonna say some of those songs are like the ones that I really enjoyed, and we'll get to this. So this album was schizophrenic, even in its reviewing. Some people lauded it as the band's magnus opus, while some people gave it 1 star, rated it a 5.1 out of 10. This thing got 5 stars from people. There's so much going on with like in terms of review of this album.
And the funny thing is, hold on one second.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, like, my review falls flat in the middle, almost like.
Yeah.
If on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd put it at a solid 5. Like, I don't like. I see the polarization, but I think that's mostly music critics not knowing how to pigeonhole this. I think.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Now, what also doesn't help with it is that the album took place over 19 months in 15 different studios spanning 4 countries.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Chinese Democracy of pop albums.
Kinda,
if you ever look at the liner notes for Chinese Democracy, it's almost as long as the Bible.
Yeah, I mean, when I was looking at this, and getting things for it, I mean, Abbey Road Studio, Angelic, British Grove, Conway, East West, Lush, the E8 Hackney, Perfect Sound, Sleeper Sounds. It was in Sony Studio, in the Stormtrooper tour bus, the church in London. I mean, there's a lot of places that this was done, and it came out with an 80-minute pop album. 80-minute pop album. Joe, I'm going to let you start now with what you feel about this album.
Okay, so before we start recording, like I told you, let me count the tracks because I have my list of notes.
Yeah. I'm actually pulling up my list of likes as well.
I have a list of 12 tracks.
Okay.
That stood out to me on this album. The rest kind of just blurs into one another and really didn't evoke really a whole much emotion out of me.
Mm-hmm.
And that's split down the middle of songs I think were good and songs I think were just fucking god awful.
Yeah, some of them were bad.
Yeah, it's evenly split with the song. 6 songs I think were really good and 6 songs I think were really bad, and then the rest feels like, a lot of it's filler, a lot of it's instrumental filler, and so this album kind of, again, I love it when bands go big and go bold and take chances, and I'll give this album credit that it did. And mixed results, but at least they took a chance. Which there's so many bands out there that never take chances. They find the thing that works, and they never move on from that. This album shows that this group of band is willing to take different paths with music and experiment and do something different, and I love that. Looking on the Wikipedia thing, the lead singer, and this is a problem. He aimed to create the most important pop album of the decade, hoping to achieve the same impact as Radiohead's OK Computer and the Smiths' The Queen is Dead.
Oh, boy.
This is a red flag.
Yep.
That is a red flag because that tells me they're buying into their own bullshit. And I think that comes out in spades in the songs I don't like. And I think it's particularly citing those two bands, you can hear that they're, especially the songs I don't like. It sounds like if Radiohead made Kid A, but instead of the band Radiohead, it was a bunch of chuckleheads.
Grant, I mean, I have more to say on that, but go on.
So yeah, so that's a red flag. And it also, like, again, this is an 80-minute long album. It's a long album, and it takes twists and turns, which I enjoy and I commend. But it kind of brings me back to the Fiery Furnaces in that it's not focused. Mm-hmm. There is not, like, when I think of an album like this, it made me like, there's a lot of bands who do these kind of albums. The Beatles had the White Album, Clash's London Calling, where they kind of like expand out their comfort zone, but they still sound like their band.
Yep.
The 1975 don't. They just sound like different bands on each track. So it's kind of hard to like appreciate it when they don't really seem to know what their sound is.
So with that, I have said that what I think about this album is that it's got what it has going for it is the double-edged sword, because it's the exact thing that goes wrong with it. It's that there is a lot here, and they got a lot of modern pop sensibilities, but that's exactly one of the problems with it, is that modern pop sensibility and having too much on here kind of goes the wrong way for it. If you're going to do some of these tracks that are kind of out there, you got to let go of that and really be experimental. Yeah. I mean, there's tracks on here that if I heard on the radio, like had been some other singles, I would have no idea that it was the 1975, because it doesn't even sound like them. Like there was points in here where I'm like, I actually looked when I was first listening to it and going through this out of my playlist, and I can't remember exactly which song it was, if it was Shiny Collarbone or Playing on My Mind. It was one of the down tracks where it didn't even sound like them. So I was checking like, oh, am I done with the album? No, I'm not. I still got like 5 tracks to go. But the other problem with this is it's not mixed right. It's this, I've talked about this with a lot of different things. It's front loaded with a lot of good stuff. And then the tail end of it is where you find a lot of the stuff that doesn't work. Yeah. And you need to shuffle the deck. I mean, there's times in here where, like, I loved the end, song number 3, and how the orchestra played into Frail State of Mind. I'm all about that, streaming and how it played into the birthday party. I'm all about that. But that gets lost. I mean, you start doing that, you're setting a tone, and then that just abruptly ends, and you start going you have no real segue into the songs. And that, if you're going to do something like Kid A or, OK Computer, or, you're going to emulate those things, you have to emulate the vibe that the album had, which was it flowed. Yeah.
And again, that goes to the focus thing, that it's just not focused. OK Computer works front to end because it has, like you said, that vibe. Mm-hmm. The vibe carries throughout each track. And this, it's a hodgepodge at times.
Mm-hmm. Not to say it's all bad. Yeah. Not to say it's all bad. There's some really good shit here.
No. Like I said, there's about 6 tracks on this that I really like. But another thing is it has that contemporary pop.
Yep.
Elements, especially the vocals, that I just despise, and it's because the vocals have no personality. The vocals to me sound like exactly what Backstreet Boys were doing in '99, and every pop artist, male pop artist, since, just the clean vocals. It's the uninteresting vocals, like there's no real emotion to it, and that doesn't help when you have Antares auto-tune layer shit, which is another big red flag for me because I fucking hate that program.
Right.
I feel auto-tune ruined a lot of music.
I agree. But there are tracks on here where they use the auto tune properly, and it actually adds to it, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It works, but that's what it was intended for.
Yes. So no, I mean, I can't. When I look at this, I go, there's some things in there that, like I said, I added a bunch of songs to my playlist that I like, and we'll get to that, and I'm sure you did too.
Mm-hmm. But I don't want to feel like people feel like I'm ragging on it, because there's 6 songs out of 22, which I really like, and that's, it's a little unexpected for a band that I really don't know, and has a pop sensibility that is not my style. So that's like a good track, at least for me. We all know I can be pretty prickly about stuff.
You can be very prickly. So let's hear what are the 6 songs that you really enjoyed.
Okay. All right. I think the first one, I'll go in the order of the album. I think the first one will not shock you. I like People.
Oh yeah.
It's just so that good. hardcore, like it just came out of nowhere. It made me giggle because we'll get to it. The lead track I have big issues with.
Oh boy.
I love The Birthday Party.
That's so good.
That was such a good song. Jesus Christ, 2005, God Bless America. This is probably my favorite song on the album.
Yeah. Yep.
Was it yours too?
Yeah, it is. It's so good.
Such a good song. Good. That one's landing on playlists for me. What's Me and You Together song, and I don't know why, but it made me it reminded me of a mid to late 90s alt pop song.
Sure.
Like, like I don't know. It was just like, yeah, I like that. That's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
I also liked, this should not be a surprise either, given how much I enjoy Neon Neon. If You're Too Shy, Let Me Know.
Yes. Yep. That's on my list.
Neon Neon meets Peter Gabriel.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it was so good. It was so good.
And then the last one I liked is Don't Worry. And it's just like a nice piano ballad type thing.
Don't Worry is
so those are the 6 I really, really enjoyed. Yeah.
Yeah, Don't Worry is gorgeous. It's a gorgeous song.
That's where the auto-tune it works.
Yes, and in Birthday Party, it works. Yep. Like they auto-tune certain parts of it. So for me, mine was, I really enjoyed People. I enjoyed the end. I enjoyed Frail State of Mind, Streaming, The Birthday Party. Yeah, I know. Then Because She Goes, got Jesus Christ 2005. Love that one. Bagsy, Not in Net, and Don't Worry. Like the whole front, like the first 9 tracks of the album, I actually enjoy. And I actually enjoyed the one that you really disliked. Just because when I was listening to it, my daughter was listening to it, and she was like, yeah. Like, I was like, uh-huh, honey, uh-huh. So from that point of view, like the whole rebellion thing and seeing that kind of get sparked in my own kid, I was like, yes, I'm down for that. But then there's ones that were just bad, like Shiny Collarbone, and I didn't like Roadkill, and Tonight I Wish It Was Your Boy. There's things there that just I think would have worked on maybe a different album, or if it had been shuffled a little differently, if the thing had been there, because the first kind of 9 tracks, it feels like there was a focus and a purpose, and then it gets to Roadkill, and then it starts to lose itself, and then it starts to come back. Like I said, Don't Worry is gorgeous. It's just a gorgeous song. Yeah.
It's funny because on my list, 3 of the first 9 tracks I hated.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So let's go to I'll do the tracks that I didn't stood out that I didn't like.
Yes.
And the 1975, I was just like, eye roll, oh, fuck you. Like, I agree with everything Greta Thunberg says. That's not a knock on her. It's just, it's such a shit way to open an album. It's just like, I hate it. I hate when bands take like a political speech and put music behind it. It's just, it just, for some reason, it just grinds my gears. Like, I just think it's so fucking hokey and it's pretentious and just like, you know, another band that did that, Anti-Flag, did that with, I think, like a Howard Zinn speech, and I was just like, oh
yes,
you. Just fuck you. Like, and I agree with everything they stand for, but I still just think it's hokey as shit.
It may be, but I think I you know, especially for a pop band to come out with that, I'm okay with that because there needs to be some politicalism in music in pop music these days, and you just don't see it.
Write a song then, like let's open an album with a long, boring Winston Churchill speech. All right. You know,
well,
yeah,
but then it goes in The People, which is a great song.
People I like, yeah. So the next track I really hated, I think you put as you really liked it, Frail State of Mind.
I liked it. I did like it.
Did not like it. It grated on me.
Fair.
And the last of the top 9, yeah, I know. It made me so discombobulated I felt like vomiting.
Interesting. Yeah, I kind of liked how weird that one went. Maybe
it was just like, this is just like, you know, it got too much.
Then, I can see that. I can see
the other 3 tracks I didn't like. Nothing Revealed, Everything Denied. It was just, this is where the auto-tune made me just want to, you know, kick a baby, just like, fuck, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
no, it was bad. It was bad auto-tune on that one.
Yeah, and then another one, Tonight, I Wish I Was Your Boy.
Didn't like that one.
I wrote my notes. It reminded me of like that shitty Eric Clapton of the late 90s. It reminded me of like
yes,
My Father's Eyes is what the vibe I got. And it's just like, oof, oh God, the song can't end fast enough. And then the last is What Should I Say? It made me feel like, what was it? Yeah, I know. I was just like discombobulated and just, it just grated on me. And then those are like the tracks that I think they're trying to do Kid A.
Yes.
Failed horribly.
Well, and this is the thing that you got to realize, and I think this has got missed a little bit, is that you got an 80-minute album. As it starts to go on, you got to start leaving some of that, because you're going, especially when you're doing a pop album with something like this, and you got that pop audience. Now, I'm sure, I mean, and there were people who loved this front to back. And you know what? I could see why people would in the reviews. I can see why people.
I see the appeal. It's just not something I personally.
And I will say that anyone that put this at like a 1 star that's
overkill too.
Yeah, was doing that to be provocative. Like, oh, we're going to give this a 1 star because we're going to be fuck off.
Jesus Christ 2005, God Bless America, puts this album at least at a 5 star out of 10.
Yes.
That track alone.
And I knew right away it was Phoebe Bridger. Like, I knew right away that was Phoebe Bridger. I was like, holy shit, that's Phoebe Bridger on this.
I'm not a huge fan of hers, but I like this, so.
She's becoming just a fucking powerhouse, man. I don't know. I enjoyed her work with.
I know she is. I'm just not a huge fan of her.
She did an album with Connor Overburst. I forget what the name of it is off the top of my head right now, but it's really, really good. And I'll have to get that to you when I'm done with it. But it's a great combination between her and Bright Eyes. It's awesome.
Yeah, she's talented. It's just something. They're
called
anything that stood out to me, I guess, is.
It's called the Better Oblivion Community Center. Is the name of the band, and it's her and Connor Overburst, and it's awesome. Or Oberst, however you pronounce his name. I'm a big Bright Eyes fan as well, so anything that Bright Eyes does, I'm gonna enjoy. So yeah, no, the thing with this was there's a lot of modern pop sensibility, and that's the other thing that really, when I was listening to it, I was like, it already is starting to sound dated because it is too much of a modern pop. Like, this is an album that's going to come out dated. And that's unfortunate because I'm already starting to feel it a year and a little over a year later. Like, yeah, they're already going away from this type. Pop music is already starting to go away from this, and this feels old. And I don't want to say stale because it's not stale, but it's already feels like a dated album to me.
Yeah, those moments really stand out, and not in a good way.
Mm-hmm.
And it just makes you like, I wish they would find their own voice in pop.
Yes.
I feel like they've been around for a while, but I don't think.
At least on this album.
At least on this album, it felt like it was a lot of the vocals reminded me of The Weeknd. And I was just like, it's just, that's weird. And like, that's his style. Like, why are you co-opting? Like, that just seemed weird. And that really, those are probably on those tracks I don't like. I'd rather if I was going to hear The Weeknd sing a song, I'd rather hear him do it.
Let's talk about the negatives here, because a negative review, Biddles said that it was flat, directionless, and inessential, viewing most of the album's song as unremarkable and indistinguishable. She especially criticized the, quote, directionless instrumentals and the repetitive nature of many songs, saying it was disheartening to witness them with nearly nothing of note to say. Similarly, The Independent, who gave it a 1-star review, deemed the album, quote, a smug Figaro. Farrago, I don't know. Not a word I'm familiar with, and I tend to be a literarian. Filled with inconsistent nonsense, meaningless orchestral interludes, and indistinguishable dance songs, calling it, quote, a 22-track parade of stream of consciousness self-indulgence. Which, no. I mean,
well, the self-indulgence I would agree on, but I think that, the interludes, the ones that work as segueing between tracks, those aren't pointless. Those work for me.
Yep.
It's the ones that just kind of plop out of nowhere.
Yeah, again, in the beginning, with like the end going into Frail State of Mind, streaming going in the birthday party, it made sense. And I was kind of expecting things like that sprinkled throughout the album, but to call it a stream of consciousness, self-indulgent, no.
Yeah,
no.
It's not stream of conscious at all.
It's not. Stream of conscious, I think there'd be more of that vibe we were talking about. And in this one, you could tell that, and I think you can really tell that this was an album that took years to make because of how, as I said earlier, schizophrenic it is, especially towards the end. It's just, I don't know. I can't, I think anyone that gives it a 1-star is, like I said, trying to be an asshole.
Yeah. I mean, there's certainly like the stream of conscious thing I don't get. And it makes me think the writer doesn't understand what stream of conscious is.
Right.
Which is like, not surprising in this day and age that people don't use words they don't understand.
And the thing I gotta give them credit for, especially as a pop album, is using real instruments.
Oh yeah.
This wasn't, done on a synthesizer. This wasn't done in Ableton. This was real violins. This was real bass trombones, tenor trombones, trumpets, French horns. This was really, really real instruments. And there was a real choir involved with it. That, to me, is awesome. I got to give them full-on credit for that.
Yeah, it's, that and the fact that, they took a chance. Like,
most pop artists don't take chances.
The moments I hated the most, I can at least admire that they did something different. And again, like, I hate when bands are just uninspired. Those type of albums just, I hate because, like, I'll be sitting there listening to it, like, then I'll be like, why the fuck am I listening to this? If they're not even interested in this, why the hell am I? At least this one they seemed interested in doing and making it something. It just it didn't stick the landing, but at least they tried.
Well, and the other thing that I give them, that I love what they did here, because again, this is a pop band. They're outside of our, us being at our age, they're outside our demographic, right? Yeah. We're not the demographic they're going for. But as for someone who is our age, I look at this and I go, I think more pop artists need to be going this route. Which is trying new things, being experimental, exposing the listening audience to different styles of music, which can still be poppy and not be, the norm pop. Absolutely. Again, there are things here that didn't land, but the things that do land, like you said, the 6 tracks that you like, land hard and land awesome.
Yeah, I was just like, those tracks that I liked, I really liked. And I see, and they weren't just like, typical pop, they were just, they're well constructed songs. And I really, kudos for taking a swing and go. And I'll be interested to see what these guys do next.
Yes.
They're like on the radar now. Like,
I would consider myself a fan. I would say I am a fan of the 1975, given what they've done. And if I could get more things like Birthday Party, like Jesus Christ 2005, God Bless America, I'm on board.
Those tracks felt like they found a voice. You know what I mean? Yep. Like they found their style and it worked. And then they stepped out of their comfort zone, and a lot of it didn't work for me, but that's all right. Again, this was an interesting album. I don't regret sitting through even the tracks I didn't like, unlike some of the stuff we've reviewed.
Right. I didn't hate my experience listening to it. And I listened to this album a lot during the time frame of us doing this review. I listened to this album a lot because, as you said, there's times where I was just discombobulated and didn't know how I felt about it. And you even asked, pulling the curtain back a little bit, you asked for additional time before we recorded this in order to digest the album. Did you not?
Yeah, because it's 22 minutes at 22 tracks at 80, an hour and 20 minutes. I needed more time to wrap my head around it, I guess.
So I'm going to talk a little bit more about kind of where the album has fallen in 2020, because there is a list here, and I normally when I do a review of an album, I don't have this much information that's given, but okay, and I want to see what you feel like, what you thought was for the best 50 albums of 2020 by Billboard magazine. It ranked number 29. And for the best 25 rock albums of 2020, it rated number 5. That I disagree with. I don't consider it a rock album. Do you?
I actually, with the live instruments, I would say it's borderline.
Fair enough.
It's poppy enough, but the Beatles were a pop band who were considered rock eventually.
Yeah.
I would put them in. They're just not the typical rock band, but that's all right.
Okay. I will concede to your answer there. You got a fair point.
You have your opinion, Paul.
No. I'm going to say no, because you know what? You brought up a really good point that it's live, that it's not, that it is live music and live instruments. And you know what? Yeah, that's kind of the main distinguisher between rock and pop. Typically is that modern pop doesn't do real instruments and have perform.
It's mostly keyboard, synthesizers, computer programs. That's
yes.
Drum machines. Drum machines. To hear some live drums on this. That was cool.
Yes. So I'm going to say that's why I'm going to concede and be like, you bring up a valid point with the live instruments. Yeah. It was rated 36 on the Best 55 by Brooklyn Vegan Complex. It was on their best albums 33. Best albums of 2020 by Coupe de Main was number 5. Album of the Year by Dork was number 10. It was not on the American Entertainment Weekly's top, and it wasn't on Esquire's top. It barely broke into the fader with being at number 46. The Music rated it number 1 album of the year.
I don't remember the albums that came out last year. Last year was a rough year.
Was the rough year for music. Yes. Completely agree with you on that one. So yeah, I just, again, it's interesting to me when I see an album like this get so much division, between the accolades and the heat for it. And you gave it a 3-star, and I have to give you, I'm going to go 3.5. I'm going to give it a 3.5 star out of 5. Because the things
this falls in the middle for me.
Yes, because the things that work really work. Yeah. The things that don't work don't.
Now, if they cut the 6 songs that I found and just god awful, I'd probably bump it up to a 4.
Oh yeah, yes, and that's the thing, right? Yeah, I would do that the same thing, because again, there was tracks on here that I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. I'm onto another album here, and I went to go change it, and I looked, I'm like, oh no, I'm still on here. God, this doesn't even sound like them. Like, what the fuck is this? So yeah, there was that to it. Other than that, I mean, outside, it was kind of an odyssey in a way. So, do you have anything else you want to shed on this?
No, I think we covered it. If we're going to recommendations, I'd say, yeah, give it a listen. Just not many pop bands attempt something like this, and I think they should. And for that, I think it's worth a listen.
Yeah, I'm also going to recommend this album. I'm going to say, you know what, and listen to it front to back.
Yeah.
Because there are people out there that rated this 5 stars. And, put it as the number 1 album of 2020. There are people out there that gave it A-, that gave it 5 stars. So it definitely deserves your 80 minutes worth of time to listen to from front to back.
At least once.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Yeah, at least once.
And if it's not your thing, it's not your thing. But I say give it a shot at least. There should be more bands doing stuff like this, in my opinion.
I would completely agree with you on that. That yes, there needs to be pop bands need to be making these kind of strides and going in these directions and not being afraid to do so, because the people that matter get it, and the ones that don't can fuck off. That's my thought.
All right. Wow.
I mean, well, I'm sorry, but to give this thing
there, man.
Well, again, to give it a 1 star is bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, fuck off into yourself. You're trying to be something, whatever. Rosen O'Connor of the fucking Independent.
People just trying to be contrarian.
Yes. And I don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate that. And I think the AV Club said it best when the beginning was receptive to the beginning of the album, but criticized some of the instrumentals, the shallowness and sequencing as it progressed, saying a sonic hopscotch that once amplified the group's singularity now feels like a liability. I think that a sonic hopscotch is a great fucking way to describe this album.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. So, all right, Joe. Well, why did you tell the people what you just did for the Joedown?
I take it you like the review. We did Remo Williams.
I love Remo Williams.
One of the most racist movies I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, it's
one of the most Joe Brown. So, this didn't make the review, but I messaged him because I was like, there's a part where Remo Williams gets trained by a Korean man, except this Korean man's played by a white actor from Cleveland, Ohio.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he is.
Or whatever his name. And I messaged him. I was like, This reminds me of, like, I think Tarantino got some inspiration from this movie for Kill Bill, and Brown responds that he's like, yeah, if Kill Bill was combined with a Roger Moore Bond movie.
Dude, my dad used to watch anytime Remo Williams was on, my dad would be like, oh yeah, Remo Williams. Oh my God.
I don't understand the appeal. It's like, none of the characters are charming. What the fuck? So yeah, that was interesting. And then up next, The Terrorist won. That's how I'm opening the review, but you guys won't know that until after this is out. For years, Brown and I have gotten requests for us to tackle the Harry Potter movies.
Oh, shit.
And like Biden with Afghanistan, I had to cave.
Wow.
It's time.
Yeah.
So we're doing the first one, Sorcerer's Stone.
Yes. Yes.
Movies that I've never seen before. Neither has Brown, so.
Oh, you haven't seen all of them?
I haven't seen any of them.
You haven't seen any of them?
Yep, never even read the books.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. I've done both. I read the books and seen all of them.
Yeah. I'm halfway through the first one. I watch a lot of these while I'm at the gym because it just like, it distracts me from the pain of exercising.
Sure, absolutely.
So I'm about halfway through the first move.
All right.
It's charming. I spoiler, I'm enjoying it, so.
Yes, I'm interested to see. I'm not going to give anything away, but there's a particular one that I absolutely think is the worst of the movies, and I hate it, and I hate every time I have to sit through it.
Well, you might as well. We're only doing the one.
Oh, you're only doing the one. Okay.
Yeah, we're not doing a month of these. We're just doing the one.
Oh, I thought you were doing like all the Harry Potters.
Next month, so we're not doing a theme month.
Got it.
So what's the one?
I'll tell you off air.
Why? You don't want the people to know? You don't want the hate mail? Can't take the heat?
I'll take the heat. It's number 5. It's Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. It's by far, it was the worst book, and to me, it was the worst movie. So yeah, when you guys start doing, if you do more of the Harry Potters besides the first one, because you really should do some more of them. I'd be interested to see what your guys' take is.
Sprinkle them through like we do with the Bond movies,
There you go.
And of course, the Twilight. Even though I only have one more left in my pocket for that one.
No, the Twilight
for making me mad.
It's hilarious. I still haven't seen the Twilight movies.
Oh God.
And I won't. I won't see them. Maybe if I have like a Mystery Science Theater party and I bring over a bunch of people and we sit down and make fun of it, maybe I would do that.
It would be worth it for that. I mean, it's easily mockable.
Oh, it sure looks like it would be just from all the previews and things I've seen. And that's the most I saw was the previews to talk about the movie. Yeah, no. All right. Well, that's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I like the Reno Williams review. That was really good.
Yeah, it was a lot of misogyny too. It was lots of racism, lots of misogyny. The 80s were a wild time.
The 80s were a different time, dude.
It was kind of gross.
It was gross. It was gross. Well, all I have is, as you know, this podcast. So as of right now, I'm trying to. Trying to get some other things off the ground, but we'll see.
All right.
So now it's your turn. What are we doing next week?
Next week, we're going to visit a band who was at a crossroads. The album cover shows 4 guys who look like they can't stand being around one another. It was a big moment in this band's history.
Uh-oh.
We're doing "Let It Be" by the Replacements.
by the Replacements.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
What else would you think I was talking about?
Ass hat. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, we'll have a lot to talk. I'm interested to hear the story on that one.
Yeah, it's spoiler. This band has one of the most depressing stories in music history, and a lot of it is their own fault. And I do not feel bad for any of those fuckers at all. So it'll be an interesting review.
Paul Westerberg had an interesting career.
Yeah, he sabotaged it at every moment he could.
Just a bit.
Nah, he deserves all the rancor he gets. He's one of those. This is a band. This is seriously like one of the only times I'll talk about this band is with you for that review. Because over the years of working in record stores, that was one of the bands I fucking hated people coming up and asking me about.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just after a while, he's like, how many times do you tell people, yeah, I know I'm from Minnesota, I don't give a shit about the Replacements.
Oh yeah, I get that, and I get that in Dylan a lot. Yeah. I get the Replacement in Dylan a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I'm very, very interested in going through this and listening to it because I know I've listened to the Replacements, but I haven't listened to this album. So I'm excited. Oh, are we doing the original or the deluxe edition?
Deluxe edition is just remastered, so it's going to sound better to you. We won't talk about the outtakes and unreleased tracks.
Okay, so we'll just do the 11 that are with the normal.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I would suggest listening to the remaster just because it cleans it up, cleans up the audio. It's easier to hear shit.
Okay, cool. I was just curious.
Surprise! Bands in the '80s who weren't popular had recorded in shitty circumstances.
Yes, they did. They sure the fuck did, sir. All right. Yeah. Well, with that, Joe, do you want to take us out?
No.
Joe Fred.